The massive council chamber stretched out like a crystal cathedral, its walls glowing with soft blue light. Jack Morrison sat at the human table, his hands folded as he watched the alien delegates argue among themselves. For 3 long years, he had come to this place on Nexus Prime Station. For 3 years, he had listened to the same speeches about humanity's place in the galaxy. Colonel Lisa Hayes shifted in her seat beside him. Her military uniform looked plain compared to the colorful robes and strange outfits worn by the alien council members. On Jack's other side, Patricia Webb flipped through her notes one more time. The 3 humans looked small in the enormous chamber, surrounded by 12 different alien species. The Zalani delegate stood up first. Speaker Vorthak was tall and thin, with gray skin that looked like old leather. His forearms moved as he talked, pointing at the humans with long clawed fingers. "The matter is simple," he said in his dry voice. "Humans have shown they cannot be trusted with advanced technology. They must accept our guidance." Jack had heard this speech many times before. The Zalani always talked about guidance, but they really meant control. Other delegates nodded their strange heads or made clicking sounds that meant agreement. Councillor Thex from the Meridian Empire rose next. She was shorter than Vorthak, but twice as wide, with thick blue skin covered in scales. Her small eyes glared at the human table. "We have been more than fair," she said. 3 years of talks, 3 years of patience, but humans refused to see reason." Patricia leaned over to whisper something to Jack, but he already knew what she was thinking. The aliens called it patience, but the humans called it something else. For 3 years, the Council had made demands. "Give us your weapons technology. Stay in your home system. Let us decide which planets you can visit. Accept our rules for everything." "The terms are not difficult to understand," Vorthak continued. "Humans will surrender all antimatter technology to Council oversight. Human ships will not travel beyond the Sol system without permission. Human populations will be limited to prevent overcrowding." Lisa's jaw tightened. Jack saw her hands clench into fists under the table. The colonel had spent 20 years protecting Earth's borders. Now these aliens wanted to make those borders into a prison. Furthermore, Thex added, human genetic modification. Programs will help reduce the aggressive nature of your species. This is for the good of all galactic citizens. The chamber fell quiet. Jack felt something cold settle in his stomach. They wanted to change what made humans human. They wanted to make them into something else, something safer for the Council to control. But Vorthak was not finished. The tall alien moved closer to the human table, his forearms spreading wide. "There is one final requirement," he said. "Human children showing signs of leadership or intelligence will be brought to Council worlds for proper education. This will ensure they understand their place in galactic society." The silence that followed was different from before. It was heavy and dangerous. Jack felt his heart beating faster. Beside him, Lisa had gone very still. Patricia had stopped writing in her notebook. They wanted humanity's children. Jack thought about his own daughter back on Earth. She was 15 years old and wanted to be a pilot like her father. He thought about millions of other children across human space, playing and learning and dreaming of the stars. These aliens wanted to take them away, to reshape their minds in alien schools on alien worlds. Slowly, Jack pushed back his chair. The sound echoed in the quiet chamber. Every alien, eye sensor and optical organ turned toward him. He stood up carefully, feeling the weight of the moment. "Gentlemen," he said, his voice carrying clearly across the vast space. "Ladies." He paused and looked at the more unusual alien forms. And others. Patricia and Lisa stood up beside him. The 3 humans faced the 12 alien delegations alone. "The United Earth Federation," Jack continued, "formally withdraws from these proceedings." The chamber erupted. Vorthak's 4 arms waved wildly as he made sharp hissing sounds. Thex's scales turned from blue to angry red. Other aliens screeched, warbled, clicked, and made noises that human ears could barely understand. All of them were shouting at once. Jack reached down and closed his folder of documents. Patricia gathered her notes. Lisa straightened her uniform. Jacket. They ignored the chaos around them. "We decline your generous offer," Jack said, raising his voice above the alien noise. His words dripped with politeness that felt like ice. "Your offer of servitude." More screeching filled the air. Some aliens pounded the table with tentacles, claws, or appendages that humans had no names for. Security guards at the chamber doors looked nervous, unsure if they should intervene. Jack picked up his briefcase and started walking toward the exit. Lisa and Patricia followed him. Their footsteps rang out clearly as they moved through the chaos. Vorthak managed to make himself heard above the noise. "You cannot simply leave," he called out. "The Council has authority over all spacefaring species. You have no choice but to accept our terms." Jack stopped walking. He turned around slowly to face the alien delegates one more time. The shouting died down as they waited to hear what he would say. "Speaker Vorthak," Jack said calmly. "Councillor Thex. Distinguished delegates." He looked each of them in whatever they used for eyes. "You seem to have misunderstood something important." The chamber was completely quiet now. "You assume we need your permission to exist?" Jack continued. "You assume we need your approval to live as humans. You assume we need your counsel to survive?" Among the stars. He smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "Those assumptions," he said, "are incorrect." Patricia opened the chamber door. Lisa stepped through first, her soldiers' training making her check for threats, even here. Jack followed, but he paused in the doorway. "We'll be in touch," he said. The door closed behind them with a soft click, leaving the alien delegates alone with their shouting and their fear. In the corridor outside, the three humans walked calmly toward their shuttle. Other species moved out of their way, sensing something had changed. The humans looked the same as when they had arrived that morning, but something was different now. "How long before they realize what just happened?" Patricia asked quietly. "Not long," Lisa replied, "but long enough." Jack said nothing. He was thinking about his daughter and all the human children across the galaxy. He was thinking about the message he would send to Earth, and the messages that would go out from Earth to every human world. The talks were over. Now the real work would begin. Behind them, alien voices rose in panic as the delegates tried to understand what humanity's withdrawal really meant. They had been so busy making demands that they had forgotten to ask one important question. What if the humans said no? Now they were about to find out. 3 weeks had passed since the humans walked out of the council chamber. Speaker Vorthak had not slept well during any of those nights. His forearms trembled as he read the latest intelligence reports that covered his desk like fallen leaves. The first report came from Captain Ryan Clark of Earth Intelligence. The human had requested a private meeting with the Council's Security Committee. Vorthak had expected threats or angry demands. Instead, Clark had brought gifts. Information gifts that made Vorthak's gray skin turn even paler. "We thought you should know the truth," Clark had said with a smile that did not reach his eyes, "about what humanity has been doing while we talked." The files Clark left behind painted a picture that terrified every council member who read them. Humanity had not been honest about their capabilities. Not honest at all. The first shock was the fleet numbers. For 3 years, human delegates had spoken about their small exploration fleet of 12 ships. The intelligence reports showed the real number. 3,000 vessels of various sizes floated in space around human worlds. Battle cruisers, destroyers, carriers that could launch hundreds of fighters, ships that looked nothing like the peaceful exploration vessels humanity had described. Councillor Thex threw the report across her office when she finished reading. Her blue scales had turned dark purple with rage and fear. "They lied to us," she told her aide. "For 3 years they sat in our chamber and lied about everything. The lies went deeper than ship numbers. Humanity claimed to have small colonies on 7 worlds outside their home system. The real number was 47 fully developed planets with populations in the millions. Each world had factories, shipyards, and military bases that the Council had never detected. Even worse, every piece of technology the Council had shared during the talks had been copied and improved. The humans had reverse-engineered everything. Council hyperdrive technology, energy weapons, shield systems, communication arrays. Human engineers had taken it all apart, figured out how it worked, and built better versions. Dr. Susan Martinez had been part of the human science delegation. She had seemed like a quiet researcher who asked polite questions about alien biology. The intelligence files revealed her true work. Martinez had been developing biological weapons designed specifically for each council species. Viruses that would only affect Zilani. Toxins that could kill Meridians, but leave other species unharmed. She had turned every friendly scientific exchange into a weapon research project. Vorthak read Martinez's personal notes with growing horror. The Zilani respiratory system has 3 vulnerable points, one entry read. A modified Earth virus could shut down their breathing in minutes. The meridian scales can be dissolved with a simple acid compound. Their thick skin becomes their weakness. But the military intelligence was even worse. Admiral Kate Sullivan had been mapping every council world, every trade route, every military installation. While the council debated humanity's integration, Sullivan had been planning invasion routes to every major alien planet. Her strategic files were detailed and thorough. Zilani Prime has weak points in its orbital defense grid, one report explained. Approach from the solar north. Use their own moon as cover. Planetary shields can be overloaded by hitting power stations in the southern continent. For the Meridian, home world, Sullivan's notes were equally precise. Capital City has underground bunkers for the leadership. Thermal charges placed at these 12 points will collapse the entire complex. Population centers are vulnerable to psychological warfare due to their pack mentality. General Paul Bennett's personal logs were the most frightening of all. Unlike the others, Bennett had not hidden his true thoughts behind polite language and scientific terms. Day 847 of talks. One entry read, "The aliens still think we're primitives begging for their approval. Fools. Every day they waste on speeches is another day we prepare for war. They want to cage humanity? They'll learn why Earth has never been conquered." Another entry was even more direct. "The Zilani fear our aggression. They have no idea what human aggression really looks like. We've been playing nice for 3 years. When the gloves come off, they'll understand why we ruled our entire planet." The most recent entry made Vorthak's hands shake as he read it. "Council thinks they can take our children, re-educate them, make them into proper galactic citizens, over my dead body, over all our dead bodies. We're done pretending to be weak." But the intelligence reports revealed something even more disturbing than military preparation. Humanity had been building a completely separate civilization while the Council wasn't looking. Human colonies existed in star systems the Council had never discovered. A network of hidden bases connected human space with technology that made Council hyperspace look primitive. Humans could travel between their worlds in hours, not days or weeks like Council ships. Captain Clark's final gift to the Council was a star map, showing the true extent of human expansion. Red dots marked confirmed human worlds. Blue dots showed suspected colonies. Green lines connected them all in a web that stretched across half the galaxy. "We could have kept hiding," Clark had told the Security Committee. "We could have built our civilization in secret for another 100 years, but you wanted our children. That changed everything." The map showed human outposts positioned near every major Council world. Not close enough to be detected, but close enough to attack. Humanity had been surrounding the Council for years, moving into position like pieces on a chessboard. Vorthak called an emergency session of the full Council. Delegates arrived quickly, their various faces showing fear and confusion. The chamber that had once echoed with confident speeches about human integration now filled with worried whispers. "We have underestimated them," Vorthak announced. "Badly." He shared the intelligence reports with the assembled delegates. As they read, the whispers stopped. The silence grew thick and heavy. Counselor Thex was the first to speak. "How is this possible? Our intelligence services monitor all spacefaring species. How did we miss an entire human civilization?" "Because they wanted us to miss it," answered Delegate Krex from the Hive Worlds. His insect-like features clicked nervously. "They showed us what they wanted us to see. 12 ships instead of 3,000, 7 colonies instead of 47, peaceful explorers instead of a military force. The reality was becoming clear to all of them. For 3 years, humanity had sat at the council table playing the role of grateful newcomers seeking guidance. Meanwhile, they had been building an empire that could challenge the entire council combined. "What do we do now?" asked a delegate from the outer rim. "They know all our secrets. They have weapons designed to kill each of our species. They have ships positioned around our worlds." Vorthak looked around the chamber at faces filled with fear. These same delegates had spent years talking about human limitations, human weaknesses, human need for control. Now they realized that humanity had been studying them, learning their weaknesses, preparing for the day the talks would end. "We pray," Vorthak said quietly, "that they are more merciful than we would have been." Outside the council chamber, across the galaxy, human ships moved into position. The time for hiding was over. The alarms on Kethmore screamed across the night sky. Commander Zethra ran through the corridors of the Planetary Defense Center, his 6 legs moving faster than they had in years. His species had built Kethmore to be the strongest fortress in Zilani space. 20 defensive stations surrounded the planet. Sensor networks watched every approach route. Patrol fleets guarded the system borders. Nothing should have been able to get close to Kethmore without warning. Nothing should have been able to appear in orbit without a fight, but something had. "Report!" Zethra shouted as he burst into the command center. His aide, a younger Zilani with shaking hands, pointed at the main screen. "Sir, 5 ships appeared in orbit 20 minutes ago. They bypassed everything. Our stations, our sensors, our patrol fleets. They just arrived." Zethra stared at the display. 5 human vessels hung in space above his world, like predators watching prey. They were smaller than he expected, sleek and dark. No weapons fired. No threats came over the communication channels. The ship simply waited. "How did they get past our defenses?" Zethra demanded. "We don't know, sir. The defense stations are still active. The sensor networks show no signs of damage. But somehow these ships traveled through 3 layers of security without triggering a single alarm." Before Zethra could respond, his communication console activated. A human face appeared on the screen. She was a middle-aged woman with short brown hair and calm eyes. "This is Dr. Rachel Murphy of the Human Commonwealth," she said. "I'm speaking to the Planetary Defense Commander of Kethmore." Zethra stepped forward. "This is Commander Zethra. You have violated our space without permission. Leave immediately or face the consequences." Dr. Murphy smiled politely. "Commander, I need you to understand something important. This is a demonstration, not an attack. Your people are completely safe. However, your military systems are now under our control." "Impossible," Zethra said. "Our defenses are—" "Computer display current status of Kethmore defense grid," Murphy interrupted. The screens around Zethra lit up with information that made his forearms go limp with shock. Every defense station showed red warning lights. Offline. Every sensor array displayed error messages. Disabled. Every patrol ship reported system failures. Unable to respond. "Your planetary shields are offline," Murphy continued. "Your communication arrays are being controlled by our systems. Your orbital weapons platforms have been locked down. All of this happened without harming a single person on your world." Zethra felt his legs grow weak. "How?" "We've been studying your technology for 3 years, Commander. We know how everything works. More importantly, we know how to make it stop working." The demonstration on Kethmore was just the beginning. Reports flooded into the council chambers from across known space. Human ships had appeared at strategic locations throughout the galaxy. Not invasion fleets or attack forces. Small groups of vessels that simply arrived, demonstrated their capabilities, and waited. On the trade world of Nexus 7, human ships redirected merchant traffic with polite messages. "Please use alternate routes for the next few hours," they broadcast. "We are conducting navigation tests." The merchant captains had no choice but to comply. Somehow the humans had taken control of the traffic control systems. At the Meridian, military base on Korath Station, Human forces proved they could have attacked at any time. Commander Alex Turner led a team of 5 ships that materialized inside the station's defensive perimeter. The base commander watched helplessly as his weapons went offline and his shields deactivated. "Your security has some holes," Turner broadcast to the station. "We thought you should know about them." But the most shocking demonstration happened at the Grand Council building itself. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Rogers stood on the front steps of the most secure building in Council space. He wore a simple human military uniform and carried no visible weapons. Behind him, a small team of human soldiers waited quietly. The Council's own security forces surrounded the building, but they had not seen the humans arrive. One moment, the steps were empty. The next moment, 6 humans stood there as if they had always been present. "Good morning," Rogers said to the security cameras. His voice carried clearly through the building's communication system. "We're here to deliver a message." Inside the building, panic spread through every floor. How had humans reached the Grand Council building? The structure sat in the middle of Nexus Prime Station, protected by multiple security layers. More importantly, how had they traveled there? The nearest human embassy was on the other side of the galaxy. "We could have appeared anywhere," Rogers continued. "We could have done anything, instead we chose to knock first." His message was simple but terrifying. Humanity had demonstrated the ability to bypass any defense, appear in any location, and control any system. They had done all of this without firing a shot or harming anyone. But the final demonstration was the most frightening of all. Admiral Karen Foster broadcast from her flagship to every world in Council space. Her message reached every government, every military base, every civilian population center simultaneously. The Council's own communication networks carried her words whether they wanted to or not. "Citizens of the galaxy," Foster began. "For 3 years, your leaders have debated humanity's place among the stars. They have demanded we accept limits on our growth, our technology, and our freedom. They have asked us to surrender our children for re-education." Her image appeared on screens across hundreds of worlds. Council leaders tried to cut the transmission, but their systems no longer obeyed their commands. "We have declined their kind offer," Foster continued. "Instead, we invite you to see what humanity has built while your leaders have been talking." The broadcast showed images that stunned every viewer. Human colonies on worlds the Council had never discovered. Cities with millions of people living under open skies. Factories that could build ships faster than the Council could count them. Universities where human children learned alongside young aliens from dozens of species. "We did not build this empire to conquer you," Foster explained. "We built it to give ourselves a choice, the choice to live free." The images continued. Human. Ships moved through space using technology that made Council hyperdrives look primitive. Transportation networks connected distant worlds in hours instead of weeks. Research stations pushed the boundaries of science in ways the Council had never imagined. "Your leaders believed they could contain humanity within one star system," Foster said. "They were wrong. We have spread across the galaxy not as conquerors but as builders. We have not destroyed your worlds, we have created new ones." The broadcast ended with a simple map. It showed the true extent of human space, marked in blue dots that stretched across half the galaxy. Red lines connected them all, revealing a transportation network that dwarfed anything the Council possessed. In Council chambers across space, alien leaders stared at the map in silence. They had spent 3 years debating how to control 12 human ships and 7 small colonies. The reality was 3,000 ships and 47 major worlds, connected by technology that made them effectively invincible. Speaker Vorthak looked at his fellow council members with eyes full of defeat. "They were never asking for our permission," he said quietly. "They were giving us a chance to do this peacefully." Councillor Thex's scales had turned pale blue with fear. "What do we do now?" Outside, human ships waited in orbit around every major council world. Not threatening, not attacking, just waiting. Their message was clear without words. The demonstrations were over. Now it was time for the council to decide what came next. The galaxy had changed forever, and everyone knew it. 6 months had passed since humanity walked away from the council talks. President Nicole Adams stood at the podium in the United Earth Federation Assembly Hall, looking out at representatives from every human world. The chamber was packed. This speech would decide the future of humanity's relationship with the galaxy. Fellow citizens, Adams began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. For too long, we have pretended to be something we are not. We have acted weak when we are strong. We have asked for permission when we needed none. Today, that changes. The assembly erupted in cheers. Adams waited for the noise to die down before continuing. The Galactic Council offered us membership as junior partners. They wanted to limit our growth, control our technology, and reshape our children. We have declined their generous offer. More cheers filled the hall. Adams raised her hand for silence. Instead, we announce the formation of the Human Commonwealth. We invite any species that wishes to join us as equals, not subjects. We offer partnership, not domination. We promise freedom, not control. The response was immediate. Within 1 week, 17 alien species formally requested Commonwealth membership. These were smaller races that the Council had ignored or oppressed for decades. They saw in humanity what they had always wanted, a chance to be treated as equals. The Vegan trade guilds were the first to join. For years, they had paid heavy taxes to the Council while receiving little protection for their merchant fleets. The Commonwealth offered them fair trade agreements and security escorts for their ships. The crystal beings of the Sigma worlds had been forced to mine their own bodies to pay Council tribute. The Commonwealth declared such practices illegal and offered them medical technology to heal their damaged forms. Even the Draconian Confederacy, the Council's oldest rival, signed a mutual defense pact with humanity. Their ambassador, a massive reptilian being named General Corvus, spoke clearly at the signing ceremony. For centuries we have fought the Council's tyranny alone, Corvus declared. Now we have allies who understand that freedom is worth fighting for, but the Council was not ready to accept this new reality. Speaker Vorthak called an emergency session of all Council members. The chamber that had once echoed with confident speeches about human integration now filled with angry voices demanding action. We cannot allow this rebellion to spread, Vorthak announced. If humanity succeeds in creating their commonwealth, other species will follow. Our authority will crumble. Councillor Thex's scales were dark with rage. They have made fools of us. For 3 years we treated them as primitives seeking our guidance. Now they mock us across the galaxy. The debate continued for hours. Some delegates wanted immediate military action. Others suggested economic sanctions. A few even proposed negotiation. In the end, Vorthak made the decision that would seal the Council's fate. Humanity will cease all expansion immediately, he declared. They will return stolen technology and surrender their illegal colonies. They will submit to Council authority within 30 days, or face the consequences. The ultimatum was broadcast across human space within hours. President Adams received it while meeting with Commonwealth representatives in the new capital on New Geneva. She read it aloud to the assembly, and the response was immediate laughter. 30 days? Asked General Robert Hayes, commander of human space forces. They give us 30 days to surrender everything we've built, Adams smiled. General, please prepare our response. The response came not in words but in actions. Human fleets moved into position around every major Council world simultaneously. Not attack formations, but defensive positions that clearly showed the Council's vulnerability. On Zelani Prime, Speaker Vorthak watched from his office window as human ships appeared in his planet's sky. Dozens of vessels, each one more advanced than anything in the Council fleet. They made no hostile moves, but their message was clear. General Hayes's voice reached every Council world at the same time. Council leaders, he broadcast, you have given us 30 days to submit to your authority. We'll give you 30 seconds to reconsider. As he spoke, real-time footage showed human fleets positioned around every major Council world. The Meridian homeworld, the Zelani capital, the Hive world centers, the trading stations that kept the council economy running. All of them now sat under the shadow of human military power. "You have 30 seconds, Hayes repeated. "Consider carefully." The council's response came in less than 20 seconds. "We surrender." Vorthak's voice cracked as he spoke. "The Galactic Council formally recognizes human sovereignty and requests immediate diplomatic relations." The Great Council chamber fell silent as the reality sank in. The organization that had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years had just surrendered to a species they had discovered only 3 years earlier. But humanity's response surprised everyone. "We accept your surrender," Hayes announced. "However, we do not seek to replace your tyranny with our own." President Adams took over the broadcast. "The Galactic Council is dissolved. In its place, we propose the Galactic Assembly, where every species has an equal voice. No more rulers and subjects. No more senior and junior partners. True democracy among the stars." The offer split the former council worlds. Some species, used to being in control, rejected the idea immediately. They withdrew from galactic politics entirely, retreating to their home systems. Others embraced the change. Species that had been oppressed under council rule joined the new assembly eagerly. They had waited centuries for a chance to govern themselves. The first session of the Galactic Assembly met 6 months later. Jack Morrison, the ambassador who had walked out of the council talks, now represented humanity as an equal partner rather than a supplicant. The chamber looked different now. Instead of 12 council members sitting above lesser delegates, representatives from 47 species sat in a circle. No one was higher or lower than anyone else. Morrison stood to address the assembly. "A year ago, the council offered humanity membership as servants. We declined. Today, we offer every species membership as equals. The choice is yours." The transformation was remarkable. Species that had never been allowed to speak in the old council now helped write laws for the entire galaxy. Trade routes that had enriched only council worlds now benefited everyone. Technology that had been hoarded by the powerful was shared freely, but the most important change was in the children. Human children continued to grow up free on human worlds. Alien children learned beside them in Commonwealth schools. No one was taken from their families for re-education. No one was told they were inferior because of their species. Dr. Susan Martinez, who had once developed weapons to use against alien species, now worked with alien scientists to cure diseases that affected multiple worlds. Admiral Kate Sullivan, who had planned invasion routes to council worlds, now protected those same worlds from pirates and raiders. The galaxy had been transformed not through conquest, but through the simple idea that all intelligent species deserved freedom and respect. Jack Morrison's daughter became a pilot just like she had dreamed. She flew ships that could travel between stars in hours, visiting worlds her father had only imagined. She grew up in a galaxy where humans and aliens worked together as equals. The Council's greatest fear had come true. Humanity's exit from the talks had not just freed humans from oppression. It had freed the entire galaxy from a system that had kept most species powerless for centuries. The panic that had spread through council space when humans walked away had been justified. But it was not fear of human conquest that should have terrified them. It was fear of the freedom that humanity brought with them. The galaxy would never be the same.